All right, this is section 3-5 on parallel lines and triangles. So the objective for this lesson is to show that the angle measure, the sum of the angle measures for triangles is always the same. So let's start off with a postulate. This is postulate 3-2, and it says, through a point not on a line, there is only one line parallel to the given line. So what this means is if we have a line L and a point P, then there's only one line that can go through point P here that will be parallel to L. That's what that postulate says. Next up we have theorem 3-11. This one says the sum of the measures of the angles of a triangle is 180 degrees. So that means if I'm looking at triangle ABC here, then measure of angle A plus measure of angle B plus measure of angle C equals 180. Notice that I wrote out measure of angle, and measure of angle. It would not be correct of me to say angle A plus angle B plus angle C equals 180 because that would be talking about the physical structure. When we see measure of angle A, that means we're talking about the number that is associated with the measure of angle A, and I can add numbers together. So measure of angle A plus measure of angle B plus measure of angle C equals 180. Next we have some vocab. So let's talk about exterior angles of polygons. This is an angle formed by a side and an extension of an adjacent side. So this is a little bit confusing. It'll make a little bit more sense when we look at some examples. So if we're looking at this triangle here, then the exterior angle on the triangle is going to be this one right here. It is formed by a side of the triangle and the extension of another side. It's the exterior. If we look at a square here, it's going to be this guy right here. Again, it's formed by a side of the polygon and an extension of another side. And then on a pentagon, it would be this guy here, and on a hexagon, it would be this guy here. So next up we have remote interior angle. It's not remote like remote control, it's remote like it's far away from. That's how we can think of remote. So a remote interior angle, those are the two angles of a triangle which are non-adjacent to the exterior angle. So what that means is if we're looking at our triangle here we have our exterior angle, so our remote interior angles are going to be the ones that are not adjacent. Well, the adjacent angle is going to be this angle right here. So our non-adjacent angles will be this one and this one. So these are our remote interior angles. They're on the interior and they are far away from remote to our exterior angle here. Next up we have theorem 3-12, and that says the measure of each exterior angle of a triangle is equal to the sum of the measures of its two remote interior angles. And so what this says, and this is a theorem that we're going to use a lot for problem solving, what this says is that if I have this angle here, or this triangle here, and let's say our remote exterior angle is angle 1, our exterior angle is angle 1, and then our remote interior angles are angle 2 and angle 3, then measure of angle 2 plus measure of angle 3 equals the measure of angle 1. So the measure of our exterior angle is equal to the sum of the measures of our two remote interior angles. So let's look at an example where we would use this in problem solving. So I'm given this triangle, and I have remote interior angles of measures 18 degrees and 80 degrees, and I'm asked to find the measure of my exterior angle here. So I'm asked to find x. So I know by theorem 3-12 that the sum of the measures of my two remote interior angles will equal the measure of my exterior angle. So that means I can set up 18 degrees plus 80 degrees will equal x degrees. Then that's just some basic math. I have 98 degrees equals x degrees. So x equals 98. Now it's time for some practice. So I'm giving you a triangle here with exterior angle x degrees, and then our remote interior angles are 59 degrees and 65 degrees. And so I would like you to go ahead and find x for me. So go ahead and pause the video and use our theorem to find x. Now that you've had a chance to work on that on your own, we'll go over it together. So Theorem 3-12 says that the sum of my two remote interior angles is equal to the measure of my exterior angle. So that means I can set up the problem 59 plus 65 degrees equals x. So then 59 plus 65, that's going to give me 124 degrees. So x equals 124. Let's try another one. This one's a little bit different. So on this one, I'm giving you that we have exterior angle of measure 80 degrees. We have remote interior angles of measure 30 degrees and of x degrees. So your job here is to find x for me. So go ahead and pause the video and see if you can find x. Now that you've had a chance to work on that on your own, let's go over it together. So, Theorem 3-12, I can use that again, says that the sum of my two remote interior angles is equal to the measure of my exterior angle. So I can set up the problem. 30 degrees plus x degrees equals 80 degrees. Then I just have to use my awesome algebra skills, subtract 30 degrees from both sides. I end up with x degrees equals 50 degrees. So x equals 50.